Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, the quarterback carousel continues to spin. As I said yesterday in my discussion video when I discussed the big blockbuster trade between the Broncos and the Seahawks, which saw Russell Wilson head to the Mile High City, and now Denver has their quarterback. Just like 10 years ago when they signed Peyton Manning, now they got another veteran quarterback, this time in Russell Wilson. And Russell is a little bit younger than what Peyton Manning was when they signed Peyton Manning. And Russell Wilson said he plans on playing until he's 45 years old. So if that's the case, Denver is pretty locked into the quarterback position for quite a while. Now, with that being the first domino, everyone else now, I think we will start seeing every other quarterback start getting filled. Because the dominoes are going to keep falling, just like they did earlier today. Carson Wentz is now a Washington Commander as he lands back in the NFC East. And on top of that, I mean, look, I discussed this yesterday with the Seattle and the Denver trade and Russell Wilson and the Broncos, and how the Broncos are playing in Seattle this year and Russell gets a homecoming. Well, not only does Carson Wentz get a homecoming in Philadelphia twice a year, but also the Washington Commanders play the Indianapolis Colts. So Carson gets to go back gets to play his former team 3 times this year. So let's go ahead and get into this trade. But before we do, I want to go back a year because it's mindful to note what, in terms of what the Colts gave up for him and what they're getting back for him in this case. And so as I move my camera over, so this was last year. So February 18th, 2021, I got Adam Schefter's tweet up from that day saying that Carson Wentz was traded. So Philadelphia has agreed, and you'll see it here on the screen. Philadelphia has agreed to trade Carson Wentz to the Colts in exchange for a 2021 third and a conditional second that could turn into a first. League sources tell Mort. Now, essentially, I believe this ended up being 2 first round. Yeah, so this ended up being a first round pick overall. It was based upon how many snaps Carson Wentz played, and essentially that second rounder became a first rounder. So Carson Wentz, he got the Eagles an extra first round pick. Obviously, you would think that the Colts were happy, but something happened in Week 18, and the Jaguars broke the Colts, and they decided to just cut their losses of Carson Wentz and move on completely. Now, we don't know what they're going to do. Potentially, this means they're in the mix for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, they don't have a first round pick, as I just said. The Eagles have their first round pick, so they can't go after a quarterback in this draft. But again, we'll kind of see maybe free agency, how things play out. But right now, the Colts are looking for a starting quarterback, and now, here we are, a year later. Now, let me put up this tweet here from today that All right, today. So, February 18th, 2021, Carson Wentz went from Philadelphia to Indianapolis. Today, March 9th, days before free agency, Carson Wentz is now going is now has been now been traded to the Washington Commanders. So this is the trade terms, and again, it's up there on the screen as I read this. The Colts will get a 2022 third round pick, 2023 third round pick that can become a second if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the plays. This was very similar. I think it might be similar or exactly the same as the deal that the Colts and the Eagles had, where if Carson Wentz played 70% of the Colts snaps, it would become a first round pick. The Commanders, they'll also get a 2022 second round pick, and the Commanders will get Carson Wentz and a 2022 second round pick. So essentially, they're just swapping second round picks, it looks like, in this year's draft. But yeah, so Carson Wentz is now a Washington Commander, Commander Carson, as people on Twitter have now deemed him or nicknamed him now. And yeah, so 1 year later, Carson Wentz is no longer than the Colts starting quarterback, which basically, yikes. I mean, this will be the 6th year in a row the Colts will have a different starting quarterback on opening day. I did not even realize this stat until I saw this on Twitter, but they've had 6. But this year, getting rid of Carson Wentz, they will have 6 different starting quarterbacks in 6 consecutive seasons, starting the season in week 1. This is unbelievable. I mean, you talk about a position where the quarterback position is the one you need to have the most stability, and essentially the Colts, they seem to have the inconsistency there at quarterback, and let me get this over a little bit. There you go. And so, will that be Jimmy Garoppolo? Because we know Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay. Could it be Jordan Love? Could it be, like I said, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jordan Love? The Texans are not going to trade Deshaun Watson to a division rival, but it is just kind of crazy that the position you need to have the most consistency from, the Colts had the least consistency from in terms of a quarterback. And so now Washington kind of gets their stopgap quarterback here. They went out last year, signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. They had Taylor Heineke. Fitzpatrick played 1 game. He got hurt, injured his hip. Basically, that put Taylor Heineke back in the starting role. And then they kind of fell off. They weren't as good as they were in 2020 when they won the division. Alex Smith retired, but now it seems Washington is going to give it a go with another quarterback trade for Carson Wentz, as Wentz now returns to the NFC East. And again, that's pretty much all there is. I mean, right now, where does this leave the rest of the teams that need a quarterback? I was, again, trying to make a video projecting the starting quarterbacks for the year. And, I've been trying to fill this out, and, who do the Steelers go with? Are they going to maybe they like Malik Willis, but Seattle now with that ninth pick, perhaps they could take Malik Willis there to replace Russell Wilson. There's reports that Seattle might go after Deshaun Watson. Are the Titans satisfied with Ryan Tannehill? He's another one that could be gone. Is Davis Mills the guy in Houston? The Giants, there's reports that Mitchell Trubisky might be signed. We know he was a backup in Buffalo, so obviously there's going to be that familiarity with Brian DeBoer and the offense there, bringing in Trubisky to compete with Daniel Jones. So could Daniel Jones not be the starter? Could it be Trubisky there? Again, I think the division with the most questions at quarterback has to be the NFC South, because Tom Brady's playing this game of I'm retired, but I'm leaving the door open, so I may come back and play for the Bucks. I may not. So what do the Bucks do? The Saints, what are they going to do? Jameis Winston coming off torn ACL. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be brought back as a starter? What about Taysom Hill? The Falcons, Matt Ryan has the historic high salary cap hit of like $50 million or whatever it is. So Atlanta says they're going to bring him back, but at that high amount of a cap hit, I don't know. I don't buy that, because at that point you're either going to have to push Matt Ryan's contract down the line, extend him, and then just continue pushing off your rebuild and not get a new quarterback and falling behind the league even more. Or you let go of Matt Ryan and say, look, we've done what we can, we need to move on. We'll trade you to somewhere else, to a competitive team that can win a Super Bowl, like Matthew Stafford landed in last year with the Rams. Something has to be done there in Atlanta. I'm not completely convinced Matt Ryan is going to be the starter in Atlanta come September. Carolina is another one. Sam Darnold, is he the answer? Cam Newton didn't look like Cam Newton of the old. Look, Carolina, they kind of gave... they sunk their draft picks into Sam Darnold. And it's one of those things to me where I'm like, you know what? Matt Rule is probably going to get fired after this year. And the only reason he's staying is because David Tepper gave him a big contract. And essentially, that's like the only reason Matt Rule didn't get fired. So I'm assuming, at this point, that Matt Rule will be fired after the 2022 season. And at this point, you might as well just let the new quarterback or let the new head coach come in. You pick a new head coach and you let that head coach decide on the quarterback. Maybe you're picking high enough to take a quarterback in 2023. I don't know. But Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa, that whole division right now is a complete mystery when it comes to the quarterback position. Obviously, I talked about this yesterday. Seattle, is it going to be Malik Willis? Is it Kenny Pickett? Again, now there's rumors about Deshaun Watson going to Seattle. So, and yeah, Carolina, same thing. I've heard the same thing about Carolina. But I just don't know how many teams are going to want to deal with all the legal issues. I know he has the thing on Friday, but it's just, I don't know. We'll see. But for the most part, I mean, Carson Wentz is a commander. The quarterback carousel is starting to fall in place. We'll see how the carousel continues to fall in place. Which quarterbacks land in what places? Where will the teams that need a quarterback find their quarterback? Will it be the draft, free agency, trade? So many unanswered questions, and we just have the first two dominoes that have fallen, with Russell Wilson going to Denver, Carson Wentz going to Washington. Now, how will the rest of the dominoes fall when it comes to the quarterback position? I've been your host, Money Mike. Comment below what you think is going to happen. Who will be starting for quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, the Steelers, Titans, whoever, the whole entire NFC South. Comment below, and I'll be back with more free agency news as it happens right here on this channel.